TNA Wrestling crosses that line again as we move to within 1 week of lockdown in Chi-Town. And Impact this week, main evented by Nic Nemeth defending that World Heavyweight Championship against a charismatic enigma that is Jeff Hardy. Can't wait to talk about it on Hitting the Turnbuckle. So here we go. And Impact starts. Well, what a great way to start Impact, by the way. Ricky Sosa, one-on-one. Well, you say one-on-one, but you know it's never one-on-one when you take on a System member. This was System's Brian Myers in a fast-paced attraction for the opening contest Impact this week. Really enjoyable. Ricky Sosa. TNA are doing this great of him. It's a small build with Ricky Sosa. It's not throwing him straight in to maybe the main event picture, giving him title shots after title shots. It is okay. Here we go. System. Who's next? We'll find out. It's a great way of doing it. I do love the quote youth movement to a degree on TNA right now. It's really refreshing to see that these names, these younger names, getting a real opportunity to shine, which is what TNA really was all about when it first started. With the likes of AJ Styles and whatnot. Yeah, really good match on this. Of course, like I said, you wasn't going to get anywhere without the System. Cedric Alexander was all there. Brian Myers during this match tries to hit Leon Slater with the belt. Not Leon Slater, hit Ricky Sosa with the belt. But Leon Slater comes in, causes the distraction, takes the belt away from Myers and allowing Ricky Sosa to hit that boom, boom uppercut on Myers and picks up the victory. But it doesn't end there. Like I mentioned, the System out in force. Cedric Alexander finally says to Leon Slater, you've got your rematch at Lockdown in 2 weeks. But there is a big stipulation. Now, normally it would be career versus title or something along those lines. This is what Cedric has proposed to Leon, which has been accepted. He has proposed, if obviously Leon wins, he regains the X Division Championship. If Cedric Alexander retains the X Division Championship, Leon Slater's X Division reign, his first reign, is wiped from history. So he will no longer be the joint longest reigning X Division champion. See, and that's a bit of like, I've seen a lot of negative stuff about this since, obviously the spoilers had come out a little bit. I'd seen people going, oh, what's his ridiculous? Well, no, it's refreshing, isn't it? Because you would expect career title, and then if there was career title, you'd be like, oh, that's obvious, yeah, blah, blah, blah. There's something new, and I like it. I like the fact that he's doing it. That's something that I'm really a fan of, and they're doing something a bit different. Is it silly? I don't know. You can make that choice, and people will make that assumption. But for me, refreshing, and it's an interesting stipulation to add to what is going to be a tremendous match on this. I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of what I'm looking forward to later on in the show, the System are back in action. Sorry, Order 4 are back in action. They will go against Rich Swann, BDE, and the Mystery Partner. They were trying to get the Mystery Partner out of Swann and BDE, but that was very tight-lipped. So we will get to that a little bit later on in this show. It's a good partner. It's a good partner. Yeah, very good partner. But one thing that we do get is a really great skit backstage, and not even backstage. He's in the recording studio recording new music. AJ Francis was recording new music. He's interrupted by Elijah. Francis was asking his engineer Andy to play some new material before Elijah currently sort of enters the control room and delivers that message. And he said that now Francis tried to crucify him, but only succeeded in resurrecting him. And he basically said their confrontation at Lockdown will have no lawyers, no signatures or excuses, only a steel cage. Now, at this point, AJ Francis tries to leave the booth, but finds the door locked. He panics and he calls for Andy to let him out. However, it appears that Francis is actually hallucinating, and a man he believes to be Elijah is actually his audio engineer. And after finally leaving the booth, Francis looks shaken, and you see Elijah walking down the hallway, which is a really good segment. Again, really different segment, and this is good. We don't want to see the same old stuff. It is nice that we're getting some refreshingly new stuff on this, and that was really, really good. I like that. Um, but we move to a debut next. It's not a debut wrestler, it's a debut of the show, and it's the face of the franchise speech by Moose. Obviously, Moose adapting the Kazarian's King speech into the face of the face of the franchise speech. That was really good. He was talking about his match with Kazarian at Lockdown and basically kept saying, "Who's going to win?" And everyone was going, "Moose." As you can imagine, that was quite funny. But you could also, without a doubt, will know that Kazarian wasn't happy about this, and he absolutely wasn't. He comes out and he starts making it personal. He talks about Moose's NFL career. He talks about Moose's family. He talks about his marriage. And of course, that irates Moose. And then you get Moose absolutely punching Kazarian in the face. He goes for the spear. Kazarian sidesteps him. Kazarian tries to grab a steel chair. Moose tackles him before he can use it. And then security rushes to the ring to separate the two. And while they're being obviously retained by security, he gives Kazarian a chance to hightail it up the ramp. But we'll find out who the true face of TNA is between Moose and Kazarian at Lockdown next week. And I am so looking forward to Lockdown. I love the concept of it. Loving every match in the cage. I'd like to see how different they can make each match as well. That would be something interesting to see. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Great video package as well by TNA, played by for Jeff and Jeff Hardy and Nic Nemeth's world title match. Obviously, Nic Nemeth has never beat Jeff Hardy one-on-one in a singles match before, so it's an interesting bit on there. But now we come to Order 4 against obviously BDE, Rich Swann, and their mystery partner, which turns out to be the returning Trey Miguel after breaking his kneecap about 145 days ago. Trey Miguel is back on TNA, and they were taking on Order 4, which is fantastic on this. I really loved. It was quite interesting also because Trey Miguel broke his kneecap against Mustafa Ali, of course, of Order 4. So it was a kind of a good way to insert Trey Miguel back into the scene, so we say, on TNA. Again, this was a very fast-paced match. Special Agent Zero shout out in this. He was dominant in his time in the ring on this one. And I really, really, again, you look at Trey Miguel, even John Schuyler, Jason Hotch, BDE's got a great future. Rich Swann's obviously the experience, but it's nice to see him with it as well. And the lightning spiral from Trey Miguel was enough to get the job done on John Schuyler. But as the celebrations continue, Special Agent Zero was there with a double-handed choke slam to Miguel. Mustafa Ali's out there. He's yelling for him to do it again. And as he's doing that, Jason Hotch arrives to prevent Special Agent Zero from doing an attack. And then Hotch, Swann, BDE, and Miguel all celebrating in the ring as Order 4 head to the back. Like I said, until Special Agent Zero put his shoulder into that ring post, he was dominant in this. Absolutely dominant. And I like it. I really do, because again, something for new, something refreshing. I know that he's aged. I know people are saying I can't quite remember if he's in his 40s or whatnot. Who cares? This is something, this gives up an opportunity. And this is what TNA is doing right now. It's all about opportunity in TNA right now. Anyone has got a chance, and that people are taking it. There's no doubt about it. Sosa's, the Slater's, well, he was there anyway, but you know what I mean. Casey Navarro, prime example, taking the chance, having the opportunity, knocking it out of the park. That's what he's doing. That's what they're doing. And it's great on TNA. Fabian Aichner as well, another prime example of that. Someone who's also taken her opportunity and is certainly in the face of the champion right now is Elena Black. And as Zaya Brookside asks her makeup artist to do her makeup, the camera pans to the hair before we go away to break. When we return to break, Elena Black is fixing Zaya Brookside's makeup. And when Brookside checks herself in the mirror, her face is ruined and she screams, and Black is there from behind. Oops, I dropped my microphone. Those two they're in a shoving contest. A brawl breaks out. Zaya Brookside ends up shoving Elena Black into some backstage equipment and runs away from the scene at this point. And at this point, we then go to the Knockouts TV tournament, which is going to be Indy Hartwell against M by Elegance. Now, this is the semi-finals of this. And I tell you, we're seeing how good the Elegance brand actually are singly in this. And M by Elegance and Indy Hartwell did have a great match on this as well. And we mentioned just now about the brawl between Zaya Brookside and Elena Black. Well, during this match, this brawl continues and it spills into ringside. Now, that allows Maggie by Elegance to take advantage of Indy Hartwell and hits a brilliant moonsault to pick up the victory. And M by Elegance moves to the finals of the Knockouts Television Championship, which is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Now, I would say I'll be disappointed for Indy Hartwell in this because it always seems that she's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But the loss on this occasion could be, to quote Casey Navarro's finish, a blessing in disguise, because that could put her back in the Knockouts World Championship frame. So, from a disappointment to a somewhat perhaps opportunity at the Knockouts Gold. Maybe she takes on the winner of Elena Black and Zaya Brookside. Maybe she's first in line. Who knows? But it will put Indy Hartwell in that conversation for sure. But what is in conversation is that M My Elegance is through to the finals of the Knockouts television tournament. I believe the other semi-final is next week on Impact. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And we'll see what happens. Maybe, or even maybe, going back to Indy Hartwell, even maybe it's going to be a triple threat with Indy against Elena and against Zaya. What I will tell you is that it's not going to be Indy Hartwell having a knockouts title match at Lockdown, because at Lockdown it's going to be Zaya Brookside defending the championship against Indy Hartwell. No, against Elena Black. I get confused now. In the Lockdown cage. So it's going to be, get it right this time, Brookside versus Black at Lockdown next Sunday at Chi-Town. So again, looking forward to that. That's for sure. But M by Elegance through to the finals of the television tournament. I think if that's right, and if I'm right on this, if the finals at Lockdown, Elegance is going to have two matches inside the cage potentially, because she's got the Lockdown tag match with Heather against Ali, and well, we assume Rosemary, that she's still missing. More on that in a minute. And she'd have the Knockouts television title match, I think, unless that's going to be on Impact after. I can't remember when the finals is. Apologies. Some knockout who's got something to prove, and to prove that she's not expendable, is Harley Hudson. Now, she was we had a great video package of Harley reminiscing about her gut check win in Coventry, about leaving family, making those sacrifices that she's making. And obviously, Daria Ray mentioned a couple of weeks ago that she was probably going to be fired. Well, not even fired, her contract probably wasn't going to be extended upon expiry, which has led to Harley Hudson going against Alicia Edwards next week in a high stakes match on Impact. I mean, if Harley Hudson loses, potentially that's her done in TNA. That could be. I hope not. I really hope not. I think, uh, I would hate for her to um I would hate for her to have to leave TNA. I think the best is still yet to come for her. But it was some really good video package again. TNA have been doing some great video packages. Go all the way back to former stars Macklin and Young, and they had some great ones where Young was in Macklin's head, and it was some brilliant television. And these video packages have been absolutely brilliant. They really, really have. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. And hopefully Harley Hudson picks up the victory against Alicia Edwards next week and at least saves her job for now. However, following that, we cut to the back and Moose is basically down and hurt. Now we don't know whether that was from Kazarian or what. It doesn't really, we don't see who's done that to Moose, but Kazarian obviously was brawling with him earlier on in the night. So was it Kazarian that's done it to Moose, or is there somebody else that could have done it? We'll wait and see. Coming up now, though, Eddie Edwards, KC Navarro. What a match this was! I think this is uh, again KC Navarro. We've said it. We've already said it. How good KC Navarro is in these. Recently he's really stepped up to that level, and yeah, this was really, really good. I mean, Casey Navarro was unlucky not to beat Nic Nemeth for the World Heavyweight Championship, of course, a few weeks ago, but has really excelled and really come up to that main event level in TNA. And of course, Alicia Edwards is there, proving a distraction, of course, allowing Eddie Edwards to grab that favored kendo stick. But unfortunately, on this occasion, Navarro has stepped on that stick, not allowing Eddie Edwards to use it. He hits him with a super kick and then hits him with the kendo stick before that great finisher, the blessing in disguise. I love that finish. I think that finish is fantastic. I really enjoy it. I really love watching it, and that gives Casey Navarro the win. However, the systems arrived. Bear Bronson was there. Brian Myers. They trapped Navarro's neck in a chair. Out comes Sosa. Out comes Aikner. Out comes Jada Stone. And they all made the save in time. And as Santino Marella says, it's going to be Navarro, Sosa, Aikner, and Stone. He said in a little lockdown match. But we all know that's lethal lockdown for those of you that know what he's talking about. Lethal lockdown. We're going to have the system against Sosa, Navarro, Eichner, and Stone. It's going to be a big one next Sunday. Going to be a huge one next Sunday. I know Santino isn't a fan of weapons, but yeah, he's going to need to be in that one. That one's going to be brutal next Sunday. Looking forward to that. The search for Rosemary continued next. Ali is looking around. She walks into another room, and it says on the window, "The struggle is real." Answers on a postcard, everyone. I have no clue. There's a few knockouts. I mean, it's rumored that TNA are looking for some more knockouts to refresh that division, which great, fantastic. If we get them in, really be great if we got them in. Obviously, Gabby Forza signed for TNA. What an acquisition that is. I mean, that's going to add that's going to add something brilliant to the roster as well. If we get a few more in, because that division is a bit short, and I've mentioned it a few times that it is a little bit short, and especially the tag division, it's the same kind of two teams every time. So it'd be nice to get it. But as for Rosemary and Ali, Ali's got a week and a bit to find her. Otherwise, she's in trouble come lockdown against the Elegance brand. But anyway, let's move on to the main event of TNA Impact. Jeff Hardy one-on-one with Nic Nemeth for the World Championship. What a match. Well, first thing I will say, Jeff Hardy coming out to his old theme, Another Me. For those of you that are a bit old like me, knows what that song is. Brilliant. This was awesome. Now, I know there's been a lot of controversy because they announced this well, they announced the match was happening. They put the date on of the 30th, I think, of July, I think it was, or something along those lines. And a lot of people was expecting it to be on the live Impact, but it was actually not. It was taped at that point, and a lot of people were expecting it to be on the live Impact. It never said live on there. I did make that point. I do understand how it could have been misconstrued and how people could have potentially have seen it that way. That is fair. That is a fair point. Maybe this match should have been on the TNA Live because it was brilliant. I absolutely, I mean, these two knocked out of the park. There was a bit where Jeff was going for the front swanton bomb. Nic Nemeth counters it, with his knees up. He goes for the cover. Hardy kicks out. There was lots of near falls in this. Really great match between these two. Unbelievable. What a great main event. Near falls. There's everything this match. Some point you thought Hardy was going to win it. You really did. But as Nic Nemeth attempted the super kick. Hardy tries to counter it into the twist of fate, but Nic Nemeth counters a twist of fate into the danger zone and finally gets his first ever singles victory over Jeff Hardy. The Philly crowd was loving this. This is awesome. It absolutely was. Tremendous match between the two competitors. Absolutely brilliant way to cap off this week's TNA Impact. And we're looking forward to next week. And of course, Lockdown next Sunday. But coming up on Hitting the Turnbuckle later on today, I'm going to have another TNA. Well, I'm going to be recording another TNA exclusive interview, which will be brought to you next week ahead of Lockdown. We'll find out who it is. We'll tell you all about it later on tonight. I'll be able to tell you all about it. But do not forget, everybody, TNA, AMC Plus in the States, Sports Center 360 in Canada, and over here in the good old UK, get yourself TNA Plus. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed, pay that £9.99 a month, and you will get every TNA Impact episode. You will also get the specials like Lockdown, the big shows like Bound for Glory, Slammiversary, and you'll get access to that TNA archive where you can be watching the old school TNA. Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, Beer Money, Styles, Samoa Joe, and everyone, but much more. But also follow us at HTT Buckle. Lots more stuff happening on the show, so keep it locked on there. Keep following us, keep subscribing, keep doing everything that you're doing for us, because we very much appreciate it. But until next time, everybody, cross the line. Stay safe and goodbye.